I swear I'm a film critic. Hello, movie people. Welcome to a new episode of the CineGuy. I'm your host, Stephen Angulo. Let's talk film. Now, as some of you may know, this is Halloween weekend. So you might think, ooh, are we going to talk about spooky new horrifying terror film that just came out? Oh, I better get my tissues and my blanket and my crucifix. No, because I already did Addams Family, and also the only creepy horror film that came out this weekend was Countdown, and no way am I gonna be watching and reviewing that one. So instead, we're gonna journey back to World War II. Yes, that we're going down that route. It's strange for a Halloween episode, even though this is probably gonna be released in November. So yeah, but this film is not your typical war drama or a Holocaust thriller, like The Pianist or Schindler's List. No, this time we're laughing at Hitler. Isn't that great? What's not to love about making fun of the worst monster in our history? This is Jojo Rabbit. Now, this film is a clever satire from the mind of Korg from Thor 3. That's right, Taika Waititi plays an imaginary Hitler from the mind of a young coming-of-age Nazi. So yeah, here's the thing. When this film was first announced, it was considered an anti-hate satire. But when you're bringing Hitler into the picture, hate is gonna be the number one word. I mean, unless you're gonna obliterate him in a movie theater as it burns down, or have Charlie Chaplin voice him. These kinds of films have to be taken with a grain of salt. Now, with Jojo Rabbit, it kind of pokes fun on the Hitler Youth, who believed that becoming a Nazi was like a rite of passage. You can see how brainwashed these kids are since they start bragging about how lucky they are to be going to war. Little do these little fools know is that they're going to their deaths. Haha, that's right. I've seen that old, I think it was a Disney cartoon from the 40s about the Hitler Youth. Basically it's about child soldiers, but then the ending shot was their graves. They're marching, and then it fades in and it just shows their graves. So yeah, it's a sad reality that happened during that time. And this film centers around Jojo. He is 10 years old and wants only one thing: to fight in the war for Hitler. Now, Jojo is amongst those clueless, because he's all, I want to fight for Hitler, and Jews are horned monsters that want to eat your brains. So yeah, he's he's not very bright when it comes to these kinds of things. He's a little messed up, and the only thing that comes to mind is simple: war. If you fight, you're a man. But that's how it was back then. All right, war is hell, and when you are in desperate need of soldiers, you recruit the youngest. You start them off. I mean, why do you think African warlords take in child soldiers? So they can grow up to become murderous machines. Now, Jojo was played by Roman Griffin Davis, and I gotta say, he did the role really well. This kid knows what he's doing. All right, he was a great protagonist, and you just can't help but be on his side, even though he's technically a little Nazi, and we hate Nazis. Especially a CineGuy. There's no place for Nazism in this show. Now, while Jojo may seem a lost cause, because hey, he wants to go to war, but no. Anyway, all that changes when he realizes that his mother is hiding a Jewish girl up in his old sister's room. Now, the comedy in this, this is what starts up the film, right? it does get comedic at times, and it's very dark because we're laughing at World War II. You don't laugh at World War II. It's one of the most tragic events in our history. The film reminded me of the movie Life is Beautiful. It's a comedy about a Jewish man trying to keep the Holocaust fun for his imaginative son. It was highly controversial, and some believe it was all in poor taste, because why would you make the Holocaust look like a little game for your son while people were dying around you? But here's the thing. It soon became one of the most charming dramas of the late 90s. It was all about family and love and doing whatever it took to protect a child's innocence. So with this one, it was all about a child's innocence. And it was slowly getting regained when Jojo learns that the people he was taught to despise are just like him. The Jewish girl is named Elsa, played by Thomasin McKenzie. And she at first takes advantage of Jojo's lucrative imagination about the Jews by telling him that everything he believes is true. Jews can read minds, and little devils are controlling their human bodies. She even tells him that her horns are slowly growing. Like, this inspires Jojo to, write a story about Jews, kind of like a little research paper. But next thing you know, as he's doing his little research, he starts to, grow. He starts to become fond of Elsa. And I know it's funny that he believes all this, because we're laughing at how ignorant he is right now. And also, even though he's a Nazi, we can't help but cheer for him, as he is our little protagonist. Like, sure, like, he was taught to be evil, but as he starts to regain his innocence and befriend Elsa, you'll see this kid is growing up, and he's slowly starting to change himself, which is good. And also, the thing about this film is that it actually makes you sympathize with Nazis. Like, I never thought I would say this, but I feel sorry for Jojo. Why? Because we don't see him as a Nazi. We see him as a 10-year-old boy. Somebody who should be hanging out with friends, climbing trees, going on adventures. He shouldn't be training for warfare or saying things like, "We shall crush our enemies and drink their blood." That's just straight up brainwash. But all it took was a girl who, despite older than him, became his friend and allowed him to change his beliefs. And the environment of the war consumes Jojo, so we see him surrounded by an atmosphere of death and violence that he should not be a part of. Like when the Gestapo come to search the apartment for Jews. I'm not gonna lie, that was a pretty suspenseful scene, because you're like, oh shoot, they're gonna find Elsa. But it does become kind of funny because they're all saying Heil Hitler to each person, and there's like 5 people in the room. Even the captain comes in, they're like, hey, what's up? He wasn't joined in too. It was just so funny and kooky. But yeah, it does add to a stressful situation that Jojo should not be a part of. He should not be afraid for his life right there. Because if they find out that he's hiding a Jew, he's dead. Like, nobody's gonna survive. It's kind of like, hey, you mess with us, you all pay. All right, that's kind of like the political parties nowadays. You don't agree with our beliefs, we see you as a threat. And what happens to threats? Well, it seems to happen to his mother for being anti-Nazi. She gets hanged in the public eye. And it is depressing. I mean, he ties her shoes after she taught him how, and I'm just like, this boy shouldn't have happened. This boy should not have lost his mother because of a war that he firmly believed in. Also, he nearly dies in this major battle in his hometown when the Allies take control. And the worst of all, he gets captured because of the Nazi coat that he was wearing. And his captain, Klenzendorf, played by Sam Rockwell, my gosh, he was the fruitiest character in the whole movie, ends up saving his life by calling him a Jew while he gets executed. So there you have it. This child, someone innocent, probably your little brother or your nephew or even niece or your little sister as well, just experienced things that no child should ever experience. I guess you can say it's the consequence of his choices, because he wanted to be a Nazi so badly. He wanted to join the war, but now when he was in the middle of it, he nearly lost his life. And you see that? I'm so disappointed. I burped in agony. But yeah, it's a really good character study, so to say. Like, Jojo lost everything, but in the end, he gained something new. He gained a new outlook of life. He's no longer a hardened, war-hungry child. He's now about to experience a new era after the war, where peace is now at hand. For the time being, of course. You know what I'm saying. He has Elsa by his side, and even lied to her saying that Germany won the war just so she wouldn't leave him. She's all that he has left. Now, it's unclear what happens next for these two, as it ends with them dancing to celebrate the war being over. It is possible that Jojo, and Elsa stayed in Germany to start a new life together. Elsa said her parents were sent to a concentration camp, so chances are they survived and were reunited with her. If not, Jojo has his best friend Yorkie, a little overweight kid who was also a Hitler Youth. He came to his senses during the battle, which he surprisingly survived, which I'm actually kind of happy he did, because he's so innocent. Like, no child should ever suffer because of war. Yeah. And perhaps Elsa will leave to be with a distant relative, and Jojo could stay with Yorkie. But it's unclear if Taika wants a continuation. But the open book means multiple happy endings for Jojo, which, you know what, he deserves and needs right now. Oh my gosh. Sorry if I'm choking right now. I'm battling a sickness at the moment, and there's a lot of talking. I'm just sipping tea, hoping to clear my throat. Now, question is, why am I to imaginary Hitler played by Taika Waititi? What I like most about this guy is that he was Jojo's inner conscience. He was the guy fueling his hunger for war, and that he has to fight in order to please him. He's against Jojo when he takes care of Elsa, being all, report her, she's a Jew. But of course, that's not Joe. That's just Joe trying to figure out what's right and wrong. That's him talking to himself. The ultimate moment when Jojo finally grows up is when he hears news that Hitler committed suicide. This guy whom he idolized is now dead. So when the war is over and imaginary Hitler forces him to put the swastika back on, Jojo kicks him out of the window and out of his life, meaning he no longer commits to Nazism. Cheers to you, Jojo. Don't you just want to kick everybody out the window? Oh my gosh. Hi. Yeah. Now, does it fit the anti-hate narrative that Taika was going for? Yes. Jojo no longer follows the belief that he's a superior race and everyone else is their enemy. The film shows us that we don't have to abide the pressure of society that's so blinded in thinking that a group of people is our enemy that does whatever it does whatever it takes to make them look bad, whether it be Muslims, immigrants, or atheists, or anybody that Donald Trump has come against. Sorry, we here at CineGuy are not political at all. Moving on, sorry. In the end, Jojo befriended Elsa because he saw a human being, not the narrative that he was fed. So sometimes it's best to get to know someone that many people may claim is the enemy, because in the end, perhaps the one making the claims is the real enemy, alright? Wouldn't you love to kick a hate-mongering politician from television out the window? I sure know I would. I won't name names because, like I said, this isn't a political show, but screw it. I'm sure you get my picture. Alright, overall, it's a funny and clever satire that gives us an inside look at a child's POV in Nazi Germany. It teaches valuable lessons, and is surely a movie that will warm your heart. And provide little chuckles as well. Oh my gosh. You know what it reminded me of? Like those old Mel Brooks movies. I mean, oh my gosh. Have you guys seen The Producers? Like, that is also another like World War II comedy, but like it has literally gay Hitler in it. I want to watch the musical because I saw the movie based off the musical, so it's a lot of fun, that's for sure. and it's considered one of the best modern like musicals of our time, and it's a Mel Brooks classic. Because when it comes to satire, you go to Mel Brooks, and I have a good feeling that Taika Waititi is slowly going into his footsteps, because we all know that the creators of Meet the Spartans, an epic movie and disaster movie, are nowhere near satire. No, those parody films are stupid as heck. I will never, ever touch them. Anyway, my final rating is 9 imaginary Hitlers out of 10 little knives. Alright, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed this episode. Leave a like if you enjoy, subscribe and join the crew, and we'll see you next week. Am I forgetting my closing intro? Sorry about that. We'll see you next week for another awesome review. And if you went trick-or-treating last night, I hope you were safe and got a lot of candy. Just make sure you don't become diabetic in one night. You gotta give it a few years for that if you're planning on being diabetic. I had a little crunch bar. That was delicious. And of course, my $4 Chipotle burrito, because if you come in costume, it's discounted. Also, check out the podcast at stormpov.com. Link in the description below. Website is also home to many other great shows. And follow this Instagram at CineGuy Steven for more fun reviews. Until next time, this is Steven Angulo signing off. That is a wrap.